the cheapest single-family home for sale.
They'll probably get $1 million for it.
The American dream has become an unaffordable nightmare. You can move to a city with good-paying jobs, but you can't afford to live there. And there are places you can afford to live, but there are no jobs, at least none that really pay a living amount. So to solve this dilemma, America since World War II has pushed people back and forth between the cities with jobs and places on the edge of cities which are affordable. And it worked too well for its own good. Cities got bigger and bigger, the distance got longer and longer, traffic got worse and worse, and roads got fatter and fatter until this happened.
COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic.
Shut its office doors and had its employees work from home.
Work from home. Working from home.
We spent billions of dollars just trying to keep the freeways from totally gridlocking. And with the largest work from home experiment currently in progress, I think it's worth asking, why? Why are we spending so much money for people to effectively sit at a computer doing the same job at work that they would have been doing at home? If 1/3 of Americans could permanently work from home, that changes transportation planning in a huge way. Freeways generally fail during morning and afternoon rush hour as everybody's trying to drive to work. Increasing roadway capacity accommodates more economic activity. That's why there's always bipartisan support for widening freeways.
Be prepared for big changes on I-70. We'll be widening
$1.8 billion.
A $1 billion makeover could help.
The valley has grown tremendously. I-10 is continually congested.
One lane is not enough.
Too congested. Too many people live in Miami.
And that's where we were up until about 2 months ago. But if work from home becomes permanent, people can still continue to participate in the economy without putting that demand on the roadway network. Very expensive projects that would need to be done right now could be put off indefinitely or for decades. Let me put this another way. I love transportation. I love seeing the state spend billions of dollars to build cool new roads and rail for me to ride on or to drive. But as a taxpayer, one could ask the question, is the state spending billions of dollars just to subsidize middle managers being able to physically supervise their employees who could do their job anywhere? Now, it's not to say transportation investment is dead and all the engineering firms should shut down. Traffic dropped by about half in March and April, but a lot of it bounced back by late May, maybe back to about 85% of normal. A permanent traffic reduction will probably be something we'll see over a period of years, not over a period of months. Cities are going to still continue to expand their transportation network because of all the goods that we ship on highways and rail lines, and also all the essential workers who still have to have a physical presence. Your plumber can't telenetwork into your house. He still has to drive his truck on the roadway. But what it does do is it frees up those roads, making transportation for those essential workers a bit easier. There's still a percentage of us who like the socialization of being able to see coworkers, compartmentalize our work life from our home life. But should a company spend an enormous amount of money providing office square footage for me at their headquarters in a desirable area, when I could get money from the company to rent much cheaper office space 5 minutes from my house? Yeah, you might live in an area where there's not enough employees to justify a satellite office, but you still got to get out of the house and go someplace to work. And you may have coworkers, but they won't work for the same company as you. Imagine this scenario. The company you work for currently spends $3.50 per square foot to give you space in their big headquarters building that you have to drive a long distance to just so that you have a place to work. Or they could pocket $2 per square foot, give you a stipend, let you rent space 5 minutes from your house in a co-working space. So you still have coworkers that just work for different companies, a place you can badge in and feel secure. While at the same time, your company saves $2 a square foot, and you just cut your commute time down by 40 minutes each way, giving you 80 minutes of your life back. Think about how this will change house hunting and apartment shopping. That feeling of stretching a rubber band, trying to find something that's within your budget, but still commutable distance to the office. Now you can pick a town you want to move to. Cheaper and farther out is actually a benefit. More money in your pocket. Any place that's run a robust internet connection to your co-working space or your house, you don't have to live in the place where the job is. Take Twitter. Now that their employees can work from home indefinitely, you could actually apply and take a position at Twitter's headquarters, but instead of packing up your van and moving to San Francisco and dragging your young wife and daughter out there like the movie Inside Out, instead, you could stay in Minneapolis. I foresee work from home affecting land use in at least one of maybe two ways. First, an explosion of new growth rejuvenating forgotten small-town America. For the first time since industrialization over a century ago, there are thousands of communities that are now appealing places for people with jobs to live. This is a small town in upstate New York. It's beautiful and it has a lot of trees. The winters are brutal, but the land prices are amazing. But during the 20th century, everybody started moving down south to take jobs in New York, in D.C., or out to Boston. And those towns eventually kind of disappeared. But imagine for a moment you could have high-speed network access anywhere you wanted. And the idea of moving out to these small towns and fixing up an old 10-bedroom house that you could probably pick up for a song while still enjoying a job that normally you'd have to live in Seattle or San Francisco to be able to accept the position, that changes everything. A second way work from home could affect land use may look more familiar. We just keep buying more houses on the edge of cities we already live in and make them really explode. It might be asking too much to move to Troy, but as long as there's no commute, maybe you wouldn't mind moving to Gilroy. Vacant land on the edge of megapolises, currently too far to commute from, may fill up with tract homes, making LA, Houston, and Chicago look even sprawlier than it currently is. All these work-from-home predictions hinge on the expectation that lightning-fast, gigabit-like connections will be available in all 50 states in every town, that the rural broadband problem would be solved, which, if you're stuck on DSL like I am, seems pretty daunting and laughable. 6 months ago, home internet was for watching Netflix. Today, it's about business, it's about work, it's about the economy. And with that kind of market pressure, I expect political and economic barriers to expanding gigabit service should start falling during the 2020s, especially as 5G networks build out and inevitably as smaller communities start adding fiber lines. These join mega projects like SpaceX Starlink, which will provide desperately needed competition for home internet. Satellite and cellular may finally reach rural communities.
T-Mobile runs fiber connections to a cell site in your area. From there, we send the signal to the T-Mobile gateway inside your home,
which cable companies have largely ignored for years, simply because there just aren't enough customers per line mile.
Here in Washington, D.C., we have 130 subscribers per mile of wire. My folks averaged about 6 or 7. Fiber doesn't get any cheaper based on where you're putting it in the ground. And yet at the same time in rural America, in some ways it's even more important that you bridge some of those handicaps of distance.
That ability to work anywhere with a robust internet connection is going to open up a lot of possibilities. Our 20th century economy relies on freeways to get people to and from work. 65 miles per hour on a good day keeps us on a short leash in increasingly unaffordable suburbs. The world economy is now replacing that freeway with the internet. The 21st century economy commutes at the speed of light. No motorcycle cops with radar guns hiding in the bushes. The radius of viable commutable distance is limitless. And we'll cut carbon dioxide emissions as we cut those long commutes. But we'll put new environmental impacts on the rural areas that millions of us will be flocking to. We'll be exposing ourselves to more floodplains and to more wildland fire areas. And as these small communities grow, schools and facilities will have to expand. The political makeup of the country will change. Now, I'm not going to opine whether that's good or bad, but think about this. Tech and white-collar workers from traditionally blue cities will be voting in traditionally red towns. What we don't yet know is whether this will lead to a more diverse purple America, or will work from home allow us to divide geographically even more? So many unanswered questions. What's the role that mass transit will play in the future? Could our flight to the countryside or outer ring suburbs cause an increase in non-commuting car travel? A potential migration tsunami which will get all of us just a little bit wet. Even if you don't work in tech, you might get to ride this wave too. As employees in primary jobs like software coders enter a new small market, they bring their big city income with them. And that creates secondary and tertiary jobs for school teachers, sushi chefs, baristas. Instead of brewing an awesome cup of joe for Amazon employees in downtown Seattle, you might be opening your own hip coffee joint in one of America's new hot mini downtowns like Butte, Montana. Or opening up a gourmet ramen stand in Owensboro, Kentucky. The world is about to change in ways that we can't even imagine. Many of those will be good. And transportation will be how we see it. Coming up in my next video, how our grandparents built the American dream and why it all broke. Just in time for you. Hey, thanks for watching the channel. Please consider subscribing. And if you have a transportation question, tweet me at RoadGuyRob. Hey, thanks for watching.